In this devotional, I'm going to share with you 3 thoughts from Job 34, verses 16 through 20, where I'll answer the question, why is Job wrong in blaming God? Job 34, verses 16 through 26. If you have understanding, hear this. Listen to what I say. Shall one who hates justice govern? Will you condemn him who is righteous and mighty? Who says to a king, worthless one, and to nobles, wicked man, who shows no partiality to princes, nor regards the rich more than the poor, for they are all the work of his hands. In a moment they die. At midnight the people are shaken and pass away, and the mighty are taken away by no human hand. In this section, it's Elihu, the younger of Job's friends, who finally is beginning to speak, and he actually has his finger pretty well on the pulse of Job's problem. He identifies that Job's biggest issue is that he is contending with God, and no mere man can contend with God. So anything that we do, when we start accusing God, when we start blaming him, it is obvious that we are in the wrong. It might be hard to figure out how we're in the wrong, but we can rest assured that if we are arguing with the almighty creator of the universe, that we have messed up. We have done something wrong to get to this point. And that is what Elihu is trying to do as he begins to explain to Job that God is not one to be trifled with, that he is never unjust, that he is always right in every single thing that he does. With this in mind, here are 3 thoughts from Job 34, verses 16 through 20, answering the question, why is Job wrong in blaming God? Thought number 1, accusation. Job has continually made throughout the book an accusation against God. And the accusation is this, that everything that's happening to him is unwarranted, that it's unjust, and that it's unfair. There's nothing Job has done in his own mind to warrant the amount of suffering that he is experiencing. So he makes this accusation against God. And the accusation is that God is not being just. And how often do we make that same accusation against God? How often do we do the same thing and we shake our fist at the heavens and we say, it's not fair? Well, when we do that, we're committing a sin. We're committing a sin because we are ascribing guilt to God. And God, by his very nature, cannot be guilty. He is the one who establishes what justice is. So how could he do anything but that which is just and good and holy? He couldn't. So Job is wrong for blaming God because he's making an accusation against him, one that is completely unfounded and violates God's own nature. Thought number 2, pride. Job is wrong in blaming God because he has inherent pride. And his inherent pride is this, I ain't done nothing wrong. That's Job's pride. I haven't done anything wrong to deserve this. In fact, the last time he was speaking, he goes through this litany of things that he never did wrong, and says, because I haven't done all these things wrong, I don't deserve to have all this suffering. It's unwarranted. But what Job never fails to acknowledge is that he himself is proud. He is relying upon his own works, his own merit to be right before God. And because of that, he is wrong to blame God. It is his inherent pride that is so condemning of him. And that's something that we need to watch out for in our own complaint against God. Thought number 3, bitterness. This is what happens over time. If you feel like you're getting the short end of the stick, if you feel like you have not received justice, that you are being dealt with in an unfair manner, almost inevitably you will begin to harbor bitterness in your heart. And that is what I've noticed as we've read through the book of Job, is that Job seemingly becomes increasingly bitter and increasingly is trying to justify himself before God, a holy God who made all things. And because it's obvious that he is not in the right, he becomes increasingly bitter because he can't quite figure out why all of these terrible things are happening to him. Well, this is something that we, again, need to watch out for. We need to watch out for the temptation to become increasingly bitter when things just aren't going the way we think they ought to be. We need to make sure that we rely upon the goodness of God and that we trust that ultimately He's going to bring about His ultimate glory in the world and our ultimate good in the world as a part of His divine plan for creation. We need to trust in that, because when we don't, we harbor bitterness in our heart and we become antagonistic towards our Creator. And that puts us in this situation where we are demonstrating just how wicked we truly are. These three thoughts come from the assigned reading of Job, chapters 33 through 34. If you'd like to read through the Bible with me, you can do so by subscribing to this channel, by clicking on the link in the description, or by joining the Facebook group Through the Bible, where we are reading the text of Scripture together.